My name is Lance Kerr, and I'm a counselor in Colorado. And I'm also a philosopher. I've been doing philosophy for a lot longer than I've been doing counseling. And they come together in my life and my practice in a number of ways. And this video will be about mental health. And what I mean by that is this isn't self-help. This isn't like a tip or a trick or something that you can do so your mental health is better. All the various things that are coming up for people nowadays around mental health. There's all sorts of videos on how to help yourself with your mental problem. This is not one of those videos, although it could help you with your mental issue because, as I'll get into, like, what are we talking about when we say mental health? What are we talking about? What are we talking about? We just throw around this word and anxiety and depression and bipolar, and then we rush about and try to, find all this stuff to help me with this problem that I'm having, that I'm calling my mental health, or calling it my mental issue. So this video, like I said, is more about what I see as the root of the issue. There's all sorts of ways that we can go to talk about what I mean by the root of the issue. But that itself is a problem, isn't it? So if I say, hey, we're going to talk about the root of the issue of mental health, right? All of a sudden you're going to probably, if you think about things, probably you're going to say, well, what does he really mean by that? And then you're going to expect me to give you some sort of definition, some sort of definitions to work with, so you can come up with some sort of solution to your mental issue, whatever it may be. And mental health philosophy explains that situation. It explains this situation. Because as you're watching this video, you might be a person that struggles with mental health issues, or you might be a counselor or a therapist, and so you're watching this video to see what I got to say about these things. And chances are you would be expecting for me to say, here's 5 things. Here's 5 things that can help you be a better counselor. Here's 3 things that you can do to help your anxiety, to help you experience less anxiety. And those are fine. Mental health philosophy has more to do with what is going on. What is going on that I can do these 5 things, or I can try these 5 things, and then some of them work or some of them don't. What is really happening there? And so, as you might be noticing, this is particularly philosophical, but I would not say it is impractical. I think there's a problem somewhere where, in listening to me, and if I use the word philosophy, all of a sudden people think it's going to be some super intellectualized thing that is impractical, right? An abstract concept about, I'm just trying to help myself have less anxiety, and you're talking about all these impractical, intellectual, abstract concepts. And I would say there's a problem there. Why could I even have that idea that it's an abstract concept? And if we get further into mental health, how is that particular reaction actually contributing to the problem that I'm encountering? So maybe it is a little abstract, but I think it's extremely practical. Because if we, as counselors anyways, as therapists, if we look at all the approaches out there for trauma and the mental issues, the mental disorders, if we look for a lot of the treatments out there, at least that therapists and counselors use, they really concern some basic assumptions. It has to do with the way that I'm thinking about things. It has to do with some beliefs that I have that are informing the way that I think about things. There's things that in the way that my body has developed that is contributing to my current state of being. There are so much in therapy about what I can accept and what I cannot accept about my experience. And I don't know if there's much more to it. I am talking about abstract philosophical concepts that don't have anything to do with my anxiety, right? Or encounter my experience in a certain way. Isn't that what we do in therapy? Does it really? So this isn't just to eternally critique things. That's why it's practical. Because mental health philosophy accounts for everything that's happening in the domain of mental health. It explains it, it contextualizes it, it tells why interventions work, which I'm sure many people listening to this, if they've even gotten this far into this video, would say, oh yeah, well, how are you going to explain the physiology and the neurons and science doesn't even know and this and that and this and that. And I would even ask, so where does that reaction come from? When we're talking about mental health, how is it that I'm dividing? How is it that I'm segregating like the mental health of my client from my own mental health? Why is it that how is it that I'm able to come from a position, an assumption that I'm so sane or something, and they are having such problems? I think any counselor would admit that, there's this saying, right? There's a reason why people get into psychology. It's because they're trying to figure out their own BS, right? And in trying to find out about our own BS, we carry that knowledge and we try to help other people with that experience and with that knowledge. So I'm just beginning to touch upon, just kind of dipping our toes, right? Dipping our toes into what is really happening. That is the question. For every mental health issue, for every session, therapeutic session, for every paper that psychology would put out, some study, right? That comes up with statistics about how this medication is effective and how this intervention is effective. The question is really, what is happening? What is happening? That is what is informing all of our efforts. What is really happening here? It's not really how can we fix this? And again, I would say that is some of the problem is because we rush into fixing everything. We rush it, we go, problem, and then we go, I gotta fix it. But we never really take the time to figure out what is really happening. So anyways, okay. So that's my little talk for today. I hope to create more of these as we continue on in this journey of mental health. So please subscribe.